What's up, everybody? This is Concrete Zebra with Craftmaster Productions and Studio One Tutorials.com, and today we're going over the producer series. This is part 5, The Mix. What's up, everybody? This is Concrete Zebra with Craftmaster Productions and Studio One Tutorials.com. Today we're going over part 5 in the producer series. This is called The Mix. First thing you want to do, if you haven't done this already, is watch the template tutorial in the playlist, part 1 of the producer series. Watch all 30 minutes of it. It is crucial for you to be able to follow along and understand, and it's going to save you time. It's going to make you a faster producer. It's going to make you a more efficient producer, and it's going to make the production process more fun because it's going to make it simple and easy. It's going to take a lot of the administrative work out of setting up a beat session out of your way when you go to begin a brand new track. So we're gonna go into the mix down now, and you're gonna start to understand why I do what I do with this template. So we're gonna go ahead and look at our mix, and just the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to see where my signals are at. So I'm gonna watch my main fader and take a look at where I'm peaking. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just loop the loudest part of the track, which is the hook, because, you know, once you get the loudest part of the track sounding right, the rest of it will come together pretty simple. Okay, now first off, I've got peaks hitting, you know, close to 0, and that's not okay. The first step in getting a very good, easy to hear and translate mix is to make sure that your highest peak isn't hitting above -6. Now, in order to do that, we're gonna have to, you know, because we went ahead and produced this track in a certain, you know, at a certain volume. So in order to get all of this, in order to get this correct, there's a couple different ways that we could go about it. Let me go ahead and expand this. All right, so what we want to do is lower the whole volume. What I don't want to do is, you know, turn these two down. Even though it's an option, I just prefer to leave these at unity, leave these at 0. You could do that, but what I'm looking for is I'm looking to get a gain. So I'm looking for my highest peak to be around -6 on my master fader. Now, the reason why I highlighted these two, now remember, if you highlight a fader, 2 faders, and you move them up and down, they'll both move in the same proportion to each other. So I find if I turn this down an extra 6.5 dB, I get into the range that I want to be into, which is making my highest peak at -6. This is the most important part of mixing, by the way. Pay attention to this. Your highest peak at -6. Now, if you're listening to this beat and you're like, dude, Zebra, -6, man, that's really low. You know, I can barely hear it. I'm not able to vibe to this. Well, what you need to do is you need to turn your speakers up. You do not get volume from turning your faders up. You get volume from turning your speakers up. You get volume from turning your amp up. You get volume from turning your headphones up, and if your headphones are too low, then you need to invest in a headphone amp. Okay? But what you don't do is try to make a mix that's hitting at 0, because you're as soon as you do that, you're losing. Okay? you're not gonna be able to get something that sounds good. So the way that I'm gonna go about getting this at this level without adjusting these faders is I'm gonna go into my mix tool, and you see how I'm at -10. I chose that number for a reason, because if I want to reduce the overall gain 6 dB, I'm just gonna bring this down to -16, right? Just in the roundabout. Boom. Now what I can do is I can highlight all these tracks here and just right click on the mix tool and remove it, so it'll all be gone. Now when I drop it back on, you'll see that everyone that I bring up is at -16. So when I play the track now, we should be at the volume I want to be at. Okay, very nice. So now we've got a preliminary balance. Okay, now when you're mixing hip hop that has 808 at the front, or I'm sorry, as your bass element, a couple things you can do to just really quick get a really decent mix. And the first thing is you want to take your kick and make that the loudest part of the track, right? And we're gonna mix everything else around the kick. So if our limit for loudness and for peak loudness is -6 dB, then it only makes sense that if we want the track to, if we want our kick to drive this track, which is what you want to happen in a hip hop mix, you want your kick to be the loudest part. That's the standard of hip hop mixing right now. What we're going to do is we're going to make this the loudest part of the track. So it's really easy. Everybody's like, how do I get my drums to knock? I need parallel compression. Like, no, you just need gain structure, bro. Like, quit being a weirdo. So we'll just solo our kick real quick. You see how we're hitting like at 12? I'm just going to go to the gain tool and I'm going to move my scroll wheel up until it gets to -6. Okay, cool. Now unsolo it and bring everything back in. Now I'm just gonna listen and pay attention, and the sub bass right here, you're gonna want your 808 to be around -24, and then you got to kind of adjust that to taste. You got to use your ear, but you stay at -24, and don't try not to go too much higher. Like, you don't want to be up in -12, and you'll see why once we start to put like a mastering effect on it. Now, if you're listening to that and you're like, bro, but the 808 isn't loud, how is that gonna thump in the club? Like, bro, mixing is not mastering. Mixing is about creating a signal that's going to be able to be mastered. Okay, so I'm making these decisions already knowing how mastering plugins work, and that's the problem when you start out mixing as a beginner, is you don't know any of that stuff. So you're trying to do all these processes that are handled by a completely different phase of the production process. So just even if this goes against your instincts and you don't think it sounds right, just trust me on this. I'm gonna make you a believer. So there's my mix, or my kick and bass relationship. Once you got that going, the rest of the track is easy. So we're just gonna fill it out. Next thing I hear, that hi-hat is way too loud. I'm gonna bring that down. Okay, and this guy, I think what I want to do here is I want to pan this a little bit and bring the volume down on it a little bit. turn it up a little bit. I'm going to add an EQ. And the thing, you know, we've got an 808 bass in here, and which lives, you know, at like 50 hertz and below, where that really powerful sub bass is. And I know that I've got low octaves going into my piano, so I'm gonna look. Yeah, I just want to cut those low octaves out with the low cut. So the HCs will cut high frequencies, and the LC will cut low frequencies. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean that up, and that's going to make your bass a lot cleaner. It's just getting rid of some of those low frequencies. All right. And I'm just going to go ahead and drag this over to the other piano. All right, so this right here is a really decent mix. You know, we've got good plugins like Nexus and Contact, so we don't need to do, you know, a whole lot of craziness to, you know, to get this thing to sound really good. The only thing that's missing now is a little bit of the mastering process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Presonus, and I'm going to select a compressor. And I'm going to go to a preset. Let's see. I'm going to select miscellaneous master bus. Okay. And I'm going to play it over this section. And I'm just going to pull the threshold back just a little bit, so that when the kicks hit, this goes in between like 2 and 4 dB. Now, compression is a very specialized and drawn out topic, which is not for this video. I have a compression video that's also in this playlist. You guys can check that out. What else? So once we have that compressor on, I'm gonna go ahead now and go to Presonus. We'll keep this all stock, and I'm gonna add a limiter. I'm gonna go to -1 dB limiting. Go ahead and press play, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn the input up so that we can start getting that volume back that we lost in the mix. You see how when you put the limiter on, you want to definitely turn this release all the way down. This limiter sounds so whack with the release up. So turn your release all the way down, set your threshold to -1, set your ceiling to -1, and just crank the input until this thing starts to work. And what you want to look for is you'll see your signal going up, and then you'll see like a little straight white line. You want to get that white line in between 12 and 9, just, you know, before this limiter starts really distorting and crapping out. And that's going to be really close to commercial volume. that's pretty much it, guys. That is how you do a very quick and very effective beat mix. You know, you go ahead, upload that to SoundCloud. You've done it with stock plugins, just a couple EQs, some good VSTs, and some great drum samples. And that's really what this all comes down to. And before, you know, we go ahead and we close this series out, and you see you know, just how simple this can be. I really want to impart on you guys, you know, it's not about you know, having all the craziest mixing plugins and, you know, going on torrent sites and getting all the plugins that you possibly can and things like that. Like trust me, I've been there. You know what I mean? I don't do that shit anymore. All my stuff's legit. You know, I'm a professional musician, but I know what it's like to just start out and not really know what you're doing. And as a beginner, you need to understand that if you have Studio One, you have everything that you need at your fingertips to process a loud signal, which is what you're going for. You know, you're making beats. You want a loud ass beat to put on your BeatStars. What you want to focus on to get the best results is you want to go ahead and find a really great drum kit, a go-to drum kit that you can use. You don't want to have 5,000 drum samples, because nobody uses 5,000 drum samples. I have 5,000 drum samples and I use 40 of them. Okay, so right now I'll give you guys a couple recommendations. DJ Av McCree, the Kill Bill Volume 2 kit, great kit for trap. Sound Oracle 808 kit is great, and Sound Oracle Volume 3 kit is amazing. Those two kits that's my favorite stuff right now. Illmind, if you guys are more like the boom bap type of producers, Illmind has great stuff on Drum Broker. And you know, Superstar O still puts out good stuff too that's really cheap on industrykits.com. You know, invest, you know, 15-20 bucks into what may be your hobby, which could possibly turn into a source of income or maybe even your career. You know, I always hear people like, oh, why do I have to buy it, and it's like, look, dude, you know what I'm saying, a fisherman whose hobby is to fish, like they fish like we produce, so you know, they'll spend 40-50 bucks at the bait store like nothing every Sunday. You know what I'm saying? A ball player is going to make sure that they have the best shoes, you know what I mean, and you know, they're going to buy Jordans every year for 120 bucks, you know, so you don't have 120 bucks to put into a synth or put into, you know, or put into some drum samples. You know what I mean? Foodies go out to nice restaurants. Like, everybody who has a hobby spends money on it, and there's no reason why you shouldn't spend a little bit of bread on your production habit so that you can make something amazing. So definitely put aside some bread to get some great drums, because as you can see, I didn't have to do any crazy mixing to get this stuff to sound good. I just had to organize the signal correctly, have it bust out correctly, and just add a compressor and a limiter, and I'm good to go, bro. So anyhow, I hope you guys really took something away from this series. I hope if you were confused at anything about how to get up and running and producing tracks and mixing them and you know getting them loud, I hope I've really put all those questions to bed. Of course, there are more advanced tactics, and I go over them extensively at studio1tutorials.com and on the Craftmaster Productions YouTube page. So, and if you guys want to learn anything else, just hit me up. Keep it simple, don't be basic. This is Concrete Zebra, and we will see you on the next.